Good evening and welcome to the Poets Cafe, the art of conversation. It is where artists comes alive. The spoken word brings forth the inner creation of hidden treasures, expressing tones of lyrics felt within the soul, a vibration that brings stories untold. This platform represents artists of all backgrounds through various forms of expressions, including writers, singers, spoken word, and artistic expressions in painting, literature, poetry, and a journey through life. Mystery seeks to bring new ideas and opportunities to the mind at all levels. Wherefore my time leaving tomorrow on the wings of yesterday, where birds fly higher than the mystery of dreams never knew. Why do mellow sounds ring silently without ever leaving memories of my lonely blues? We walk by the calls of nature, sing in harmony, pray for the love of the skies, and dance with the stars like a feminine ballerina, gazing across the stage in her soft-toed ballerina shoes. Welcome to the Artists of Poetry Cafe show, Poetically Speaking, hosted by Terry Benjamin and Ron C. McCrae. As delighted as we are, we can't wait to embark on a new wave of presenting this platform to our audience. So, sit back and enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Now, let's get started.
Let's get started. This is the show, and we are your hosts. And, of course, it's Poetically Speaking, the place for the spoken word, with yours truly, Terry Benjamin, and my brother here, Ronald C. McCrae. Our engineer for this evening is Brother Jeff. And, again, we come to you with an agenda. And today's agenda, which I want to share with you here, is the conversation. Friends, lovers, and soulmates. We're going to break that down for you. We got some books to help us do that. The quote of the day. I'm glad I understand that while language is a gift, listening is a responsibility. And this is from Nikki Giovanni, poet, writer, activist. And again, just giving you some news. Her last book will be published in September. This is a book that she was working on before she passed away. But before we get into the program, I want to just take a moment to go to that whole idea about listening. You know, a lot of people don't understand that listening is active. Okay, it's not as passive as a lot of people think. And I want to go into a book that we're going to get into quite a bit this afternoon. It's called Friends, Lovers, and Soulmates, a guide to better relationships between black men and women. And this is by the doctors Derek S. Hopson and also Darlene Powell Hopson, Ph.D. And I just wanted to share this. This is from chapter 6, and it's entitled The Art of Communication, Learning to Talk, Learning to Listen. Okay? And the doctors say here, early in a relationship, when you are unfamiliar with each other's communication style and reluctant to create dissension, you may both hesitate to verbalize your true feelings. As you become more intimate, your ability to talk to each other and to listen will become more genuine. No matter how long you are together, exchanging confidences and negotiating conflicts will require effort. But the time spent in unproductive or destructive struggle is greatly minimized as your mutual respect deepens and communication skills improve. And so what we're saying here is that you want to be conscious of the fact that listening is not just hearing words, but listening is actually an active process. So as you're listening, you're really listening to what that person is really saying, and you're not trying to be defensive or being adversarial. You're really listening for understanding. And so as we go through this program today, you know, the agenda again, and I want you to keep this in mind, is the conversation, friends, lovers, and soulmates. And as always, we begin with Ron's poetry. What do you have for us today, Ron?
Well, you know, it's interesting, and it's to show you how like-mindedness without even knowing how the other person would think and feel or present something. Mm-hmm. So as you indicated with Nikki Giovanni's last book coming out about listening, I have brought with me what I have received years ago, and this one was put together by Harvard Management, update. And here it says, yo, listen up. a brief hearing on the most neglected communication skills. And that's one of the issues. I say it all the time, and I'm going to be honest with you. Nothing irritates me more than when somebody interject without even listening to understand where you're coming from, because in their head, they think it's similar to what they're thinking. And then short before I go on, I remember, you know, when I done the coaching class years ago, the facilitator said, you know, there is listening for and listening to.
Yes.
Listening for is when you're seeking understanding, because the Bible says, in all thy ways get an understanding. Listen to is when you hear something, you think you know exactly what the person is coming from. So that's important. So it's interesting how you read that and have that information, and I brought this because listening is essential. Even as we continue to move forward in friends, lovers, and soulmate. How do you listen to? How do you even listen to yourself? Many of them don't. But nevertheless, I just want to read this one piece out of this pamphlet, reference to listening. How not to do it. What does a poor listener look like? Sales speaker Beckett provides a graphic image when describing himself, almost certainly too harshly, as one of the world's worst listeners. I don't remember names, I interrupted. I complete other people's sentences, and I think about what I am going to say next instead of listening to what someone else is saying now. This omission probably hits home for many. According to the Hubbard studies, indicates that immediately after a 10-minute presentation of factual information, the average person can recall only half of that information. Wow. I say this, if they remember the first line of a sentence.
I said less than half.
Absolutely. Because the other part, too, when I was in this coaching class, is that the other thing was that the facilitator says everyone has a network of conversation going on in their head. So you think about it. As you listen to us today, how many of y'all are listening and yet distracted by everything else in your head or all around you? Are you paying attention? But nevertheless, we're going to move forward.
and that's true. I mean, again, it's active listening, not passive listening, not listening to get your point across, really listening to taking information and to understand it. And again, that's why we've devoted this entire program today to the art of conversation and the act of listening.
Here, and you know, we come with information, poetry, whatever, and no matter how you look at it, it may sound repeated to some, but it's nothing is ever repeated of the exact same thing, because you see and hear and listen to things from a different perspective.
That's right.
And what I'm getting ready to read really ties into the books that we have, you know, and other books, Music for Lit, and other books that Terry's going to present. So let me just read this. I am who I say I am, soft, witty, intelligent, loving, and profound, with the flavor of honey maple syrup. I am that one you need. I am the one you can call on in times of support. No matter where I am there for you. Just call and you will never have to worry, because I am with you every step of the way. You can trust that I'll be there for you. I am confident in what I do, caring without hesitation. My bond to love has no weakness. I stand on the foundation of thicker than the mind can understand. Through tough times, the shadow of your soul bears witness to stories untold. Laboring has no question to challenge, but the belief is that my staff is in my hand without starter dreams. I know I can conquer all the yearning inside, the heart nutrients rising from the depths of my soul. I am that I am, passionate about what I do, with a steady focus that never shifts from side to side, nor looks to the left or right, just straight ahead with a determined eye. The main source of life is to have it, and to have it abundant, fueling all paths of health and wellness. To continue the journey regardless of the terrain, we all must navigate towards that higher praise that keeps us sound with wisdom and knowledge, without the burden of stress at all. I am that language. If you read it, you will discover multiple layers of my inner soul. No secrets hidden in fog, only fine treasure for those who seek that what lies beyond the door on the other side. Lord, may no dark shadows of distraction invade my space, seeking to attack like an intruder. I am the fortress that holds the determination you need to move through all obstacles of distraction without breaking any promise I've made. I am who I am, that I am, and I am the one who will become. I like to see this from a different perspective as we move forward. This ties into friends, lovers, and soulmates.
Right, yeah.
And as we move forward, and Terry will break it down for you, to you, and I will interact with that to also help clean it up for you to understand from a smooth, pleasant roller coaster ride. Because we're here to soothe you. We're not here to ruffle you, but we're here to comfort you. We're not here to make you miserable. So we are here for you.
That's true. And again, I like what you said in the poem, different layers. You know, as you get to know a person, there's different layers that you got to go through. You know, and again, and tonight we're talking about different aspects of your relationships. You know, you become friends, and then you become lovers, hopefully, and then you become soulmates. But you don't jump from friends to soulmates. Okay, there's something in between. As a matter of fact, friendship only begins, as Ron always says, when you discover that there's some common ground. Because if there's no common ground, there can't be any friendship because you don't have anything to build upon. And so again, we offer this to you as a public service, you know, because we want to see some good relationships, you know. And so as we go through this, I want to get into some books, and we're going to come back to Ron's poetry a little later on, because I know he has some other things that's going to, as a response to what we're going to talk about. But the two books that we're going to discuss tonight to give you some insight about the whole conversation, friends, lovers, and soulmates. And for me, Ron, this book right here that I'm going to share, it really got the conversation started. And ironically, is a book entitled The Conversation. The Conversation, How Men and Women Can Build Loving, Trusting Relationships. And this is by Harper. Okay, and this is a book that I've read some time ago, and I reread it so I could engage in this conversation. And I'm reading from the back of the book, and this is from the author. He says, this is Harper, I encourage men and women to start talking to one another. Again, real, intimate, and brave conversations are necessary to truly create the bridges that can connect our hearts and lead to meaningful and long-lasting relationships. And this is from Harper. And the book, again, is The Conversation, How Men and Women Can Build Loving, Trusting Relationships. And the other book, and we mentioned it before, but we're going to go into it in greater depth, especially during our Food for Thought segment. And this is Friends, Lovers, and Soulmates, a guide to better relationships between black men and women. And really, just to go into this book just briefly, because I want to really help you understand that this book is written for a reason. And this is from the introduction. And it says here, are you looking for a special companion? Frustrated because you can't seem to communicate with the person you are with? Frightened by the shortage of black men? Eager to find a woman who will accept you, blemishes and all? Tired of rehashing the same battles night after night and year after year? Determined to meet someone whose vision matches yours? If so, Friends, Lovers, and Soulmates is for you. We think the candid insights about the influences of your past and the concrete advice about communication and dealing with such sensitive subjects as money, family, sex, religion, and ethnic identity can change the way you approach intimacy. And when you say intimacy, I translate that into me, intimacy into me. But then again, as it's toward you, it's intimacy into you. And I just want to share one last book. This is not on my list, but it's a book I'm reading right now, and it's called Can't Get Enough, and this is by Kennedy Ryan. And this book is what they refer to as a romance novel. And I just want to read from the back of the book. It says here, Hendrix Barry lives a fabulous life. She has phenomenal friends, a loving family, and a thriving business that places her in the entertainment industry's rarefied air. Your vision board. She's probably living it. She's a woman with goals, dreams, ambitions, and always striving upward. And in the midst of everything, she's facing her toughest challenge yet, caring for an aging parent who has time for romance. From her experience, there's a low ROI's, return on investment, on relationships. She hasn't met the man who can keep up with her anyway until him. Tech mogul Maverick Bell is a dilemma wrapped in an exquisitely tailored suit and knee-melting charm. From their first charged glance at the summer's hottest party, Hendricks feels that she's met her match. Only he can't be. Maybe the first to make her feel this seen and desired and appreciated, but he's the last one that she can have. Forbidden fruit is the juiciest, and this man is off limits if she plans to stay the course she set for herself. But when Maverick gives chase, pursuing her, spoiling her, understanding her, it is time to let herself have something more. And again, the thing I love about this book is really you have the two characters. You have Hendricks, who's the female, and you have Maverick, who's the male. And the way his book is set up is you have one chapter from his point of view and one chapter from her point of view as we go through the story. And again, what I'm saying here is that to have a dialogue, you need to hear from both parties. And so this book is beautiful because, again, you hear from the man and the woman and in the first person. So it gives you a sense of you are there. And so, Ron, you always talk about that the fact that we have to have a relationship that is based on input from male and females. How do you break that down? How do you see that? Why is that so important?
It's so important because you would think there's so many who stays on the wrong side of the track, you know the old saying, of negativity, and yet don't take the responsibility to say and ask yourself, why am I staying over here with this whole slew of tracks, and all I see is one side.
That's right.
So the conversation is one side, yet we looking and pointing the finger to the other side rather than cross over the tracks to talk to somebody. Talk to the man or the woman. Talk to the brother. Hey, brother, what's happening? What's going on? Let me ask you a question. I'm struggling with this. I'm trying to get some clarity for that. Can you help me out?
That's right.
And so since you have a whole slew of sisters and women on one side, at least a percentage of the women and sisters on one side should cross the tracks and talk to some of them brothers who would love to engage in a conversation.
Right.
Hey, I can tell you from our perspective or this side. And so this way you're constantly learning what the issue is without staying isolated in your own thinking. And so before you go on, I'd just like to tie this too, and just, and I want to show you this, addictive thinking, okay? And when you get caught up in your own thinking, you become addicted to it, and you start to believe it. And so here the other book is telling yourself the truth,
That's right.
okay? Because that's what you believe. There's a misbelief. But to break out of that is to also open up your own door to your mind and say, wait a minute, I'm talking to all the brothers all the time. I'm talking to all the sisters. Something's wrong with this picture. I need to get clarity from the opposite side. So the important is how do we come together? Well, it starts with one. It starts with self. It starts with the hello, how you doing? Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
There's no such thing, well, there's a stranger. I don't know you. Well, you don't even know yourself. Because if you knew yourself, you wouldn't even telling yourself that. Because if that's the case, you wouldn't be out in public walking around here and there trying to look like trying to track something that nothing won't come to you because you ain't showing nothing.
That's right.
Because it's all about a conversation. And it starts with what we always say, and I always say all the time, hello, how you doing? A smile. Thank you for the compliment. Let me ask you a question, brother. Nothing personal, nothing to get involved with. I like to ask you a question. You see, people go to school, they write papers and whatnot, they read books, but yet still what you fail at is the interpersonal interaction with one another.
That's right.
Even a stranger. Ask the question. But if you can stand there and negatively say, I don't know you, well, ask yourself on the other side of your brain, well, how can I get to know something about you? And that's what's important.
Yeah. And again, there's two sides to every story, and one of the ways to get to know someone is ask them, what are you reading? Okay, I'm reading this book, Can't Get Enough by Kenny Ryan, you know. And another question is, what are you listening to? Okay, because I find for myself is that I like a certain type of music, and if that person's in that kind of music, then we have something to talk about, you know. I like jazz. We can go to a jazz concert, you know. We can go to R&B concert. I mean, again, we have to have something in common. And I want to go into briefly a segment, a program we call Music is Lit. And this is, we look at music as literature. And the thing that I like to do, especially, you know, since we're in such a romantic time and a romantic mood, I like to maybe start with something romantic. And this song that I'm going to share with you has been recorded by many artists, George Benson, namely, and most popular by LTD, Jeffrey Osborne. And again, it's entitled Love Ballad, and it was released in 1976. And this is from LTD. But again, George Benson has recorded and other people as well. But again, when you talk about love, this song sort of comes to mind. It's Love Ballad. And it goes here, I have never been so much in love before. What a difference a true love made in my life. So nice, so right. Loving you gave me something new that I never felt, never dreamed of. Something's changed. No, it's not this feeling I had before. Oh, it's much, much more. Love, I never knew that a touch could mean so much. What a difference. And when we walk hand in hand, I feel so real. Lovers come and lovers go. That's what folks will say. Don't they know? They're not there when you love me, hold me and say you care. And what we have is much more than they can see. What we have is much more than they could see. What we have is much more than they could see. What we have is much more than they could see. And that's Love Ballad. But again, that type of music, that type of message. And we move on. And we go, and I'm still going to stay in the 70s, 1970s, and this is from 1974, and this is from Freddie Jackson. You know, the man who sang You Are My Lady, and other songs as well. And this song you probably might know here is a song called Nice and Slow. And this is from Freddie Jackson. And he says, and I recite, hey girl, we're going to take it nice and slow. Hey girl, we're going to take it nice and slow. Oh girl, let it flow. I'm so glad we took the time to look into each other's mind. We didn't grow too far too fast, and now we know each other well. Things that only time can tell. We've got a love that's going to last. 'Cause we were friends before we were lovers. And isn't that the way it should be? Baby, don't change a single thing. Let's take it nice and slow, steady as we go. From now on, it's going to be smooth, smooth sailing. Nice and slow, let it flow, and hold on tight to love. So much we have to overcome. And it looked like love was on the run, but we held on. In our heads, we held on to the feeling. And then just a flash of light, we knew that the time was right. Time was right. We made our move, and love was there. 'Cause we were friends before we were lovers. And what we have is so good. I wouldn't change it if I could. Let's take it slow, nice and slow, steady as we go. From now on, it's going to be smooth, smooth sailing. Nice and slow, let it flow, and hold on tight to love. So much we learn from talking before we dance in the night. And only then can love take flight. Baby, let's take our time. Oh, yeah. 'Cause we were friends. Oh, yes, before we were lovers. And isn't that the way it should be? Let's take it nice and slow, steady as we go. Come on, girl. Take our time. And we take our time loving each other. Just take our time. I want to hear you say, There's nothing like the love we share. We got a lifetime together. Take it slow. Take it slow. Let's take it slow. Oh, let's take our time because we were friends before we were lovers. And that's Freddie Jackson. The last song that I want to share with you is from one of our favorites here on Poetically Speaking, and this is Brother Bobby Womack. And this is from 1971, and it's entitled, That's the Way I Feel About You. You know, life is funny when you look at it. Everybody wants love, but everybody's afraid of love. You know, I'm a true believer that if you get anything out of life, you got to put up with the toil and strife. Now listen, you're pushing my love a little bit too far. I don't think you know how blessed you are. And your friend Annie Mae, tell you all she see. Have you ever thought she was trying to get next to me? Think it over. Think it over, girl. Think it over. Look, that's the way I feel about you. 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 And if that's being weak for you, darling, yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. That's the way I feel about you. That's the way I feel about you. I know you've been hurt, and so have many others too. But that's a sacrifice that life puts you through. Put you through. Trust in me, my dear. Have no fear. You don't know, but God might have sent me here. Yes, sent me here. Think it over. Think it over. You better think it over, because that's the way I feel about you. Listen, don't take my love for a sign of weakness. Check into your situation, girl. Dig a little bit deeper, because that's the way I feel about you. Oh, that's the way I feel about you. That's the way I feel about you. Let me say it. That's the way I feel about you. And that's Brother Bobby Womack. And it's so funny, when I was looking at this song, I was thinking about another song that he recorded. It was titled, If You Think You're Lonely Now. And then the last part, if you think you're lonely now, wait until tonight. And sometimes in love relationships, we sort of fly off the handle, right? I mean, how many women, don't raise your hand, how many women have just stormed out of places, right, slammed the door, and then they get out into the car and say, oh, what did I do? What did I do? And the same thing with men, man. Sometimes you just get a head of anger and steam and whatnot. Say, that's it. That's it. We're done. And then you're thinking, oh, man, I love that girl. and I blew it. But you know what? If the lines of conversation are open, if the lines of communication are open, you can come back. You can do it. You can do a do-over. You know, maybe she won't talk to you, but maybe you can, send her a text message, and say how you feel. Send her a song. You can do that now. But the point I'm making is that communication is very, very important. And again, it has to be not hot-headed. It has to be nice and smooth, okay, and cool, calm, and collected.
You have to have an open and mature way of thinking. Now, naturally with emotions, or male and female, it's understanding the level that each one has and how they host their own emotion. Because emotion is like firecracker, But the thing is, once something explodes, and as you indicated, and somebody rush out the door mad or whatnot, but take the moment to say, you know what? I apologize. And say it sincerely, I apologize. I may not get a second chance, but I want you to know how sincere I am when I say I apologize. Yes. And I hope that somewhere in your heart you can forgive me. And then if you depart. But if the person who receives that is honest with themselves, male or female, and realize that the person was sincere about what they regret of doing, and they say, I'm sorry. Most importantly is that you have to be honest with yourself. Say, you know what? I accept your apologies. can we just start anew? Can we move on? Right. See, kids go to the playground. They get mad and fighting this. Mommy, this little boy, little girl does it. And guess what? They go right back swinging each other on the swing or sliding down the slime board. Adults become childish not in the childish way in the natural state, but in the childish way in your thinking. And that's the problem right there. The art of conversations, how do you apologize, receive it, ask for forgiveness. The Bible says, in all that way, you ask for forgiveness. Forgive one another. You see, and that's what's important. And if I may take,
please, go ahead.
A couple of things in short. I mean, bouncing, but it appeared that we're going back and forth, but we're going to be on the right track. Rest assured that. But
yes,
it's
a journey here.
Out of this book, Friends, Lovers, and Soulmate.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes, yeah.
So here, again, one, it says, why are black men such dogs? And this is one of the things you always hear all the time. This is the sad part when sisters and women say, well, all men are dogs. And I'm like, what did I do? So anyway, ask a 32-year-old fashion designer in despair. Why are black women such bees? A 40-year-old salesman demands to know. See, there's no conversation to understand. First of all, why did you make the statement? Why do you say that? Why do you make the assumption? Rather than try to find out why you made the statement towards somebody without facts or proof. So I'm going to bounce down. We believe it is time for a truth. We must set aside our weapons, tear down our defense, confront our differences, and learn again how to liberate, preserve, and to take pleasure in black love. At a time when black families are besieged by troubles that originate with racism and poverty, we must reclaim our heritage and the bond of love that have allowed us to travel together thus far. Although the problems of intimacy and commitment between black men and women are not new, they have been discussed only in whispers and behind closed doors for too long. And see, that's important. You have to think about that. Instead of what's happening is that you're still running down the road today. The young men and old, the young ones is not even asking older ones what's happening in the past. The older ones is not telling you where they come from and the hell they've been through, if they've been through it. So the point is here is to stop and reclaim a reality of truth. Talk to one another, express to one another. Yes, we all had experience, because I'm going to be honest with you, there's nobody, I think, on the face of the earth other than other cultures and tribes and whatnot can express what the black race have been through during being enslaved. This other one, in short, I just want to read this one. And it comes back to a misbelief, okay? Telling yourself the truth. And this one is short. Misbelief, self-talk. Nobody cares about me anymore. So why should I even try to be slim, sober, even-tempered, a non-smoker, or whatever? I've had such a terrible time of life, or I've been so miserable, I owe myself a little indulgence. So I'll go ahead and smoke, drink, eat, steal, and whatever. I am such a worthless bitch. It doesn't really matter one bit if I destroy myself, hurt myself, get addicted to something harmful, or whatever. I've worked so hard and done so well, I ought to just steal something, drink, smoke, gorge on food, or whatever I need. I can't go on without. You see, that's when people, even then and now, okay, tell themselves the truth. And you can't even justify that it's true. But you create it, you make it up, it becomes who you are, and then what happens, you spill that out towards somebody else. And that's where it comes back to the first part, when all men are dogs, all women are bees. Because you're miserable. But you're not seeking the truth to understand, to glorify the moment of what life is all around you. And that's what's important.
Yeah, and that's why, again, going back to the listening thing, and also going back to the Freddie Jackson song, says, we were friends before we were lovers, and that's the way it should be. And again, to make that connection, you have to communicate. And I want to go back to the book that my brother mentioned previously, the book Friends, Lovers, and Soulmates. And here on page 141, it talks about listening. It says here, listen when your partner talks to you. That may sound obvious, but when a couple is dealing with sensitive or aggravating subjects, it's very easy to tune your partner out or become defensive. Asking for feedback and paying attention when you get it is possible only in an environment of trust and respect. If you don't understand something, say so. Ask for time to think about an issue more thoroughly, but be sure to follow up on it, okay? Again, it's the conversation is an ongoing process, And again, as we talk about this, this whole concept of friends, lovers, and soulmates. So again, soulmates may be the ultimate goal. And if that's the ultimate goal, you have to understand that it is steps to get to that, Again, even before friends, you got to have some kind of a common ground. And then from friends into lovers, but soulmates. But again, what does that look like once you become a soulmate? So I want to go to the pinnacle, and we'll come back down to the friendship. But here, it says here, the art of becoming soulmates. It's art, like art of conversation. And just a few things I want to share with you from this book. Number one, becoming soulmates is an active process that requires commitment to the principles of vision, victory, sacrifice, inspiration, and balance. It is a cognitive and emotional pledge of support. Number two, becoming soulmates requires spiritual and emotional intimacy and the creation of a haven in which both partners feel safe from criticism and need not be defensive. Number three, becoming soulmates means understanding that we all have childhood baggage that has to be unpacked. Number four, becoming soulmates means eliminating the barriers to intimacy and putting each other first. Number five, becoming soulmates means making time for fun, romance, solitude, play, surprises, and passion. Number six, becoming soulmates means being supportive, complimenting each other, and communicating openly, honestly, and assertively. Number seven, becoming soulmates means loving, touching, pleasing, and soothing. And number eight, becoming soulmates means being reliable, dependable, and loyal. And I share all those in that detail because, again, to become a soulmate to someone is not easy. It takes a lot. And one of the things that we try to do in this program, when we speak from our own wisdom and experience, but also we speak from books. So when we speak with reference. Again, I'm sharing with you, well, my idea of a soulmate may be different from your idea of a soulmate, but if we look at this book together, we can come with a common idea about that. And that's why I really appreciate the doctors Hopson, Derek and Darlene Powell Hopson. And again, they wrote this book many years ago. As a matter of fact, this book was actually written in 1994. And again, and if you haven't read that, this is one of the beautiful thing about books. If you haven't read this book, although it was written in 1994, it's a new book. But again, the information is timeless because we're still dealing with these struggles, okay? And so as we go through the program, please take note. And again, I would advise you to actually order the book because it's still available. But again, this is information that we need. This is information for transformation because there's no way you can go through this life and not grow. If you're the same person at 50, 60, and 70 as you were 20, 30, there's a problem there. Okay, that means that you haven't grown. And the only way to grow is to take in new information. And so again, we offer this information through Mind, Body, and Books, but we also offer this information through the segment of this program that we're in right now called Food for Thought.
You know what's interesting, and it's so true and so profound, even what you just expressed. That book was written in 1994. And I have a signed copy that was signed in 1996 to show you right here. Here's the signature.
It's authentic.
It's authentic. 1996.
That's right. We know these people.
What they expressed then they talked about prior to that still exists for the most part today, many years later. So you ask yourself, how is that so? Is it time has changed, or is that you sleep and you didn't catch up with time? Because time waits for nobody. Time keeps moving.
Yes,
And so
yes,
you
yes.
stop yourself from thinking about who you are to find out what life is all about.
That's right.
And so just in short, along that, I'd like to leave you, everybody, this audience, some may know, some may not, but I want you to write down, what is the difference between a soulmate and a helpmeet? So there's a little homework for you. You sit down and you distinguish it, and I guarantee you that you find yourself writing your own novel, your own story. Now, if there's a little fiction in there, something wrong. You know,
Be truthful.
or a lot
Be
of drama or whatnot. It's like, okay. but you want people to read your story. What have you learned to understand a soulmate versus a helpmeet? Because I think I have the answer, but I want to hear your response when you make those comments, okay?
That's a beautiful thing. And so again, it's the art of conversation. And this book here, again, another book I highly recommend called The Conversation, How Men and Women Can Build Trusting, Loving and Trusting Relationships. And just briefly, in the back of the book, they have a section called Conversation Questions. And I just want to throw this out to you because, again, when we talk about our relationships, it starts with you. And it starts with the man in the mirror. And again, and this is under a look in the mirror. And this is just some food for thought. There's something to think about when you think about relationships. If someone was watching you right now, what might his or her first impression of you be? Are you smiling, frowning? How are you dressed? What are you doing? And what type of energy are you giving off? When you are among your peers, are there generally more positive comments made about black men or women, or more negative comments? What is your personal temperament? How do you handle conflicts? What is the best way for you to be approached when you are upset? The worst way. Do you prefer to be single or to be in a relationship? What are the pros and cons of each? Single people, why are you single? Do you believe in gender roles? Explain. What is the longest time you have gone without being involved with someone in a way that was not strictly platonic? How was that time for you? Again, questions that you want to ask yourself before you enter any kind of relationship with someone else. You have to know yourself. So therefore, you know what you're looking for, and you have to ask yourself, does this person fit into my larger picture? And don't compromise on this, because sometimes we go in with the attitude is that I'll do whatever I have to do to please this person, to satisfy this person, and not realizing that you're sort of in a trick bag because you're doing things that really go against your nature or go against your personality. And in the middle of the relationship, you start saying things like, I never did like going to that place anyway. And he says, what? I thought you liked Red Lobsters. No, I prefer Applebee's. But you didn't say that. Yeah, well, because you always wanted to take me there. Well, why did you say something? Well, I didn't know how you would take it. And then, let's see, now we have a conflict. We have a problem. So again, be true to yourself. And be true to yourself, and then you can be true to others.
You know, I want to read this short piece
Yes,
I
please.
just written as I listen, and the thoughts come. And because this is what's important. When thoughts come to you, do you write them down? You think about the thoughts. So I
Yes,
want to
yes, yes.
share with you my thoughts. And this is ties into even what you just read from the book. I forgot where I was at. Be real. Stop showboating. A soothing moments of a silent cruise as we sail towards another time with a smile to remember this joyful occasion. What is the difference between soulmate versus helpmeet? But I want to go back to the one, okay? That piece I just read ties into friendship that leads it to soulmates and everything else and anything else. But if nothing else, really comes back to dating, okay? And we're going to get into this maybe the next segment or whatever. But what constitutes dating? What is dating? What does that look like? But if nothing else, friends, associates, a soothing moment of a silent cruise. That's the art of conversation. Even if nothing is said, a lot is being spoken about.
That's right.
As we sail towards another time with a smile to remember this joyful occasion. You can be passing somebody, it takes you 5 seconds, 5 minutes. When I go to the park, when I ride to the bike, hello, how you doing? Hey, da-da-da-da. It can be a short conversation. But it has to be, and it should be, something to remember. I love that conversation. I love that smile.
That's
I love
right.
that what that brother said. That sister was so gracious about herself. She was just like a flower. And so that in itself is the introduction to being who you should be or learn to be or maybe are.
That's right.
But the fact is, if that's who you are, then spread some of that, what they call it, the honey, the milk and honey, the flavor of life, no matter how you look at it.
That's right.
Share it.
Yes.
Don't hold it. Blossom with it. Embellish your soul. But yeah, that's what's important.
And again, I want to go back to the book, The Conversation, and really I just want to give you an idea why Hill Harper wrote this book, and I think you can relate. He says here in the introduction, I am in no way representing myself as an expert in relationships, but rather as a man on a journey, attempting to figure it all out for myself. This book details a far more personal journey than I have written about in the past. I have been traveling lately through the inner territories of male and female relationships, love, partnership, asking questions about marriage and family. On this journey, I have looked inward, asking the same questions of myself I've been asking of my community. I have kept a journal for years, but there's a way that the positive feedback of the talking beyond yourself, sending a message out to the world in form of a book, and having the response come back to you as a human wave rising up to receive your message and listen and respond to you really changes your perspective. As I researched this book, I started out with a few things that seemed important to say. I ended up on the receiving end of the well of human wisdom. And so again, we started it on a journey. We don't know where we're going, but we have an idea where we want to arrive. And so whether it be friends, whether it be lovers, whether it be soulmates, you really have to really state your position, if not to the other person, at least to yourself, so you'll know what you're going. And Ron, I do believe that before we even start the journey, before we start talking about friends and lovers and soulmates, you have to ask yourself, are you ready? Are you ready for a relationship? Or do you have so much baggage and so much bitterness between either males or females that really is not your time? And sometimes we just got to sit back and get ourselves together and then go out there, because it's nothing worse than having a person who's damaged, who's damaged goods because of previous relationships and failures and disappointments and that kind of stuff. So don't come into a new relationship with that baggage. Don't come into a new relationship with that hurt and that pain. Clean it up first, and then and only then, after you look at that man or woman in the mirror, you ask yourself, am I truly ready for a relationship? And you got to answer that really seriously. And these books might help. Conversations might help. He talks about writing in his journal. I mean, how many of you do keep a journal? How many of you are secret poetry or writers? I mean, you may not have produced a book like my brother. He's produced several books, but you have thoughts and feelings as well. And do you share those innermost thoughts with other people? Sometimes that's the best way to start. Open up yourself for a new relationship, a new person.
Emotions are like a roller coaster ride, a tsunami, an earthquake, volcano. It could be anything. It could be the good weather. But here, just in short, because you said something, I want to just piggyback off that in short. Journey. And here's something that's been popping in my head for long. I hear it all the time, but I never actually thought about it in one sense. Even though in the Bible, as an example, when God said to Abraham, as far as your eyes can see, all this belongs to you. So all that ties into these two words, boundaries and rules. And matter of fact, that's the piece I forgot, because I've written something around signs. Okay, but you'll hear that later.
Okay.
but just in short, rules are, and this is what I wrote, rules are signs of life. So how far do you travel before reaching the boundaries? I say that because I think this is so important to what we're discussing and what we share with you, and we look for your comments and so many things that people deal with. You know, they want to talk about boundaries and rules. Well, guess what? The moment you wake up and breathe and see something, there's a rule. But where's the boundary? Because when you got up, you breathe, you done this, positive, negative, whatever case it be, you travel, you go here, do whatever you want, but where's the boundary? But what are the rules in between? See, rules are the signs of every second of your breathing life, or signs. So let's kind of move up right quick. You get outside, there's signs in the house, there's signs outside, stop sign, go sign, yield sign, caution sign, dead end sign. How many people run off the cliff because they didn't pay attention to the stop sign? Or detour sign. Slow down, speed up, be cautious. All those signs are signs of life, whether you're in a relationship or out of a relationship. But the bottom line is, you see, you have to understand when you get into become friends, you have to know what signs is popping up. Is a cautious sign because of his or her kind of attitude, a nasty way of thinking or expression? So, whoa, I'll leave that one alone. Make a detour. You know, but you can't ignore those signs and yet say, oh, well, you know, I think I could change him or her. No, hello. Now you're mad because all hell broke loose. You can't do it. You go with the flow. You understand the signs.
That's right.
There's speed signs, 25, 15, slow down, speed up, whatever case may be. There's signs of life. You're not going to run into a bear den and tell the bear that, oh, matter of fact, right quick, and I'm going to leave with this. Because I think in the New York Bronx Zoo, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of years ago, this sister had the audacity to climb over a fence.
Oh,
to go into a lion's den. Because in her foolish, stupid, beyond words I can't express, ignorance, thinks she's going to be next to the lion and take pictures. Now, naturally, in this natural instinct, that lion could have swapped her, ate her, chewed her, and spit her on the other side of the fence and said, don't you ever think about coming in my territory, my environment. I didn't come to yours. You got me locked up. So use that exact same approach in reference to the attitude expressing. You got me locked up. Well, who got you locked up? Because you crossed the boundaries. You ignored the sign. The sign says do not feed the animal. Now, if you're involved with somebody who acts like an animal, who is an animal, why'd you feed them? You keep them there, so take ownership. It all starts with you. And then you have to determine what is life to you. What are the signs in your life?
And again, I just want to share this very briefly. Again, it says here, making peace with your past, making peace with your personal history and with the people who influence was not as constructive as it should have been is one of the greatest challenges of healthy development. Sounds and whispers you heard as a child that shook your confidence, made you fearful, or raised doubts about your capacity for intimacy, and replacing them with positive messages about self-worth and the only way to liberate yourself. Until you do, you are likely to sabotage one relationship after another. And so again, leave the past in the past and move forward. Brother, I tell you, this time is really moving fast. So we got about 8 minutes left, and I'm gonna let you take that and get us out of here.
These two things I want to read to you, which ties into our conversation, the art of conversation, friends, lovers, and soulmates. And hopefully and prayerfully that you can find something that's stimulating in you that will change the way you think. And allow yourself to become that flower, that rose, that bush, that tree, fruits of labor, no matter how you look at it.
Yes.
Here, I'm trying to remember which one I want to read. Let me read this one first. The facility. The facility is a spacious cafe where each vision sets the tone for an open perspective on viewing the gallery. The incredible feelings of showcase, the feeling of showcase helping hands on the iconic wall, full of art, shining and passion, welcomes visitors as the entrance doors swing wide open. It invites everyone to gather in a moment of introducing the quality of new relationship towards intuitive, intellectual art, creating a meeting of the mind. Greeting is a simple act that reminds us of the warmth of how someone introduces a special moment, leaving a brief joy in the heart. It invites a moment to keep curiosity alive, much like after a Broadway show finishes its last performance before the hour strikes and time seems to pause, just waiting for another glass of wine to flow into the midnight morning of the rising sun slowly. Each move reflects a thought without distraction or interruption, without needing a clear response beforehand. As one engaged in the art of meaningful conversation about what inspired an unexpected first-time laugh, one that jolted in an emotional state and found the right way to ease a slow-moving fear and push it aside. To live life and recognize that it can be abundant without the disappointment of something short-circuiting during an evening without. A facility promotes poetic expressions in a gallery where the fleeting moment is ideal for sparking conversation as new clients reach for another drink with the right words, creating another chance to deepen genuine interest. Before the evening ends, all goodbyes can leave a negative impression of someone, even when one hopes to part graciously. Honest and open communication is the goal, aiming to say yes before the moon sets in the western sky and time simmers away into the sphere of remembrance. That's important.
That's right.
How do you meet someone and, you know, introduce each other in the art of a conversation? And as I said, the facility, the art, a gallery, wherever the case may be. What do you see? What do you have in common? And a lot of times we look at the exact same thing and be clueless about what we see. But that in itself could lead to the art of a good conversation. Here's this other one. Let me read this. And this will take you into tomorrow. Dance into tomorrow. Morning dew refreshes my soul with the hydration that drenches me from head to toe. I dance with joy across the fashion stage with a gleaming smile that makes my heart race with a lovely rhythm, so much so that even the notes embrace me until sunset, starting another day filled with soothing blues. Tomorrow's dance is a celebration of a glorious moment as each day renews the spirit of the soul. It serves as a metaphor for what life holds today, reminding us of God's goodness and all his glory. He opens the gates of heavens and showers blessings beyond our understanding, giving us opportunities to open the highest praise possible. Dance as each step twists and moves in a way different from the twist and shout. But the emotional soul creates a feeling of happiness that captures the true essence of how to celebrate each day of our lives. Eyes sees far into today, while the song of music sends its magical journey high in the atmosphere when an orchestra guides and directs every soul before the bells chime once more. Each phase of time and life unfolds like a perfectly timed dance, and the whispering sounds shift the body into a new alignment that brings understanding of the interests one has to offer. The magical illusion mimics a reality where shadows of life are born to recognize that shadows, fostering a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Our infrastructure rises up to feel and monitor the souls dancing in the streets around the world, creating a new place to shake with simplicity rather than a nervous state of feeling, embarking on a journey to dance into tomorrow without hostile thoughts, even if it seems someone has lost their mental state of sanity. Jubilee Day of Freedom truly marks a renewal, symbolizing the expressions of what has long been denied. But the rise is within the soul of our spirit, dancing like David danced, memories of the past.
Wow. Well, again, I think that says about all of it. And this has been, Poetically Speaking, the place for the spoken word with yours truly, Terry Benjamin and Ronald C. McCrae. But as always, we thank you for tuning in. We thank you for being part of our community. And so until we see you the next time, good evening.